We are 2 full weeks through college football, entering week 3. We've got good, bad, and ugly. But if you're not doing so already, make sure to rate the podcast. So we're sending out some Walk-On Redshirts 5-star listener stickers here this week. I finally got around to addressing most of the envelopes, and then I got a bunch more addresses last night. So some people are going to start getting theirs this weekend. Other people beginning in next week. Make sure to follow us on social media and join Squad Blitz. We gave out some shot whiskey glasses last week.
Yeah,
pretty excited to get those out.
I was talking a big game and didn't even come close.
I think I finished in 12th, which wasn't bad. I think I didn't finish too far back. I also didn't want to win because the whole goal is to give away those whiskey glasses, not keep them for myself. So I wanted to come in second place, not first place. That was my goal.
If you ain't first, you're last. In the
words of the great Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into some new information. I was told that because we had to push the podcast back, because I saved a cat, that I had to talk about saving the cat first.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you're pretty much on the Paw Patrol.
So I'm going to do this story real quick. Wife and I are out taking the dog for a walk. Hear the cat meowing out through a tree. I look up and I look at my wife and I go, "There's a cat in the tree." I guess I've never really seen a cat in a tree before. Fun fact, if you call the fire department, they tell you no, that they don't come to save cats.
Really?
Everything I've known growing up, every TV show, every movie, the fire department comes out and saves a cat from a tree. Am I wrong on that?
No, that's spot on.
They said exactly, call animal rescue or it'll get itself down. That was the exact thing. I spent probably 2 hours trying to get this stinking cat down. We had my wife in the tree. We had half the neighborhood out there. We had a 6-foot tree. Finally, we put a piece of chicken in the tree, and the cat came down far enough that I was able to grab it with my hand. And 8-week-old kitten is currently at my house.
That's not good, Jake. That's not good. Not because you have a cat, but because your life is a lie. My life is a lie. If the fire department doesn't save your cat, who the hell does? And it's not animal control.
Yeah, they said call an animal rescue company. I was like, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I guess I can Google one, but who's going to be available at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday night or Tuesday night to come and try to save a cat?
The Paw Patrol. You know who's always available? Walk-ons. We're always available. That's why you were in the tree, Jake.
Hey, I do more than just talk about college football. I go out here trying to save cats.
Get you
I'm not even a cat person.
What are you going to name the cat?
Still TBD. Might end up at an office for a shop for to be kind of like a shop cat. Get mice away. That's kind of where we're leaning right now. Name it Dabo.
Yeah, we need some good
Dabo. We'll put that name under consideration. Let's talk about this past week, but we had to talk about the cat first. Let's talk about this past weekend first. You want to start with USF or you want to start with Michigan and Oklahoma?
Let's start with USF. Let's start off with USF. Because
I would like to say that my hot take was USF would be leading this game in the fourth quarter. I didn't necessarily think they would win the game. I made that clear that I didn't think USF would win. I thought they would be leading heading into the fourth quarter. I don't know if this says more about USF or says more about Florida. I think USF's a good team. I'm also wondering, did Florida piss down their leg a little bit here?
I think this cements anybody who wondered if USF was legit after what they did to Boise State. I think it cements that thought. Yes, they're legit. They're the legitimate G5 spot or G5 candidate for the G5 for the G spot in the playoffs. Sorry, it's the third Monday of the week. I'm used to talking about this stuff on Tuesdays. Now we're all thrown off because of Dabo the cat.
Because of Dabo the cat.
If anything, it gives us a hell of a lot more question marks. It brings us back to where we were at this point last year in Florida. And I don't know if you remember, Jake, but at this point last year in Florida, people were calling for, they already had odds on who was going to take Billy Napier's job next. It wasn't if, it was when. He ends up securing his job, goes 8-4. But I think we're back in that same seat because of this loss. Now, two things happen. The offense struggles against USF. Billy Napier's supposed to be an offensive guy, so he takes that heat. He deserves that a little bit. But boy, the defensive lineman that spat on somebody, what a freaking moron. I mean, all right, hey, what is it with people spitting on
People
each
spitting?
Is that what we do now? Back in my day, we didn't spit on people. You know what we would do? Good old knuckle sandwich. No spitting on people.
Yeah, that happened last year too, and it was the first time I remember it happening. It happened in the OSU Oregon game. I think it was Trayshawn Holden spit on Davison Igmanosin, and it was like right on his visor because it was very clear when you go over and be like, some dude spit on my face.
Yeah, and what the heck is and like Florida? Why is Florida just assigned to all these weird, fluky personal fouls at the end of games to blow it? I mean, you think about LSU a few years ago when they throw the shoe.
Goodness.
And it's like, how do they keep ending up in this same situation?
Yeah. Florida
is,
just has a knack for finding the unnatural ways to lose.
Florida is the Georgia of late game penalties. Late game personal conduct penalties. So if Georgia is how do I want to put this? Georgia gets all the speeding tickets, so that, they're outside of the football field. They're the Florida of driving. There we go. They're the Florida of driving. They're always getting the personal conducts while they're driving, and Florida gets the personal conducts while they're playing, while they're not driving. So Florida, Georgia, handshake, virtual handshake, right there. You following now, Jake?
Yeah,
we good?
I am. It's a long way there, but I'm following you. Yeah, to me, the Billy Napier, it hasn't ever quite come full circle for him. This whole Florida experiment. I mean, an 8-play, 87-yard drive to lose at the very end of the game. I mean, USF started at their own 11-yard line. And they take 2 minutes and 25 seconds to go down the field and kick a game-winning field goal after they had just missed a field goal on the previous possession. And all Florida had to do was run out the clock. And what they came out, threw a pass, ran a 2-yard play, and ran another pass. I'm pretty sure USF had a timeout still as well. I'm not saying that they had to run the ball 3 straight times, but if you're going to throw the ball, you better be getting it into somebody's hands, and there better be a completion.
Right.
So,
that's just malpractice. And it's insane how many times coaches do that. Over and over again, we see coaches doing that, and we see what happens when you do it. Why do we keep doing it? I don't
there are ways to do it and ways to seal the game, but you need to make sure that in your offense, you have those handful of go-to plays that are, this guy's in the flat, we're going to do a rub route, whatever. He's going to have yards after catch. Or even if he doesn't get yards after catch, they have to call timeout because we're spreading them out. I don't necessarily love the idea of, okay, we'll run 3 straight times in the middle of the defense and get them to do whatever. I want you to be a little more creative, especially if that hasn't worked for you that day. But I don't love the way they went about trying to seal this game. This game just felt like halfway through that there was going to be something weird that happened.
Hey,
and sure enough, we got that.
And so we don't just sit there and bash Florida the entire time. Let's make sure we give USF their flowers.
Oh, yeah.
Are you more impressed with USF's offense or defense? I think I have my answer.
I mean, I think Byron Brown is a gamer. I think he's an absolute stud. I have been, ever since that Boise State game flipped the switch for me, and I became a big Byron Brown fan. But their defense, after what I saw them do to Boise State, I mean, this is the defense that I still don't know if they can play with the top 10 teams in the country.
Boy, I think they can.
But they're going to give them a run.
Regardless of Ashton Jeanty not being on the Boise State team, holding a top 25 team to 7 points is unreal, especially a team that was in the playoff last year. Again, I know Ashton Jeanty is not on that team anymore, but 7 points for Boise State, who still recruits at a high clip for a G5 school. Then you turn around and you stone Florida at Florida and hold them to 16 points.
And 2 of those points were on safety.
Right. So I'm like, I I believe in this Boise State defense, not Boise State, in this USF defense more than anything. And Jake, when we get into talking our game picks later on, Miami better not be sleeping. They better not be sleeping on USF. I wrote in my article that I think USF has made enough noise in the first 2 weeks that it's impossible for someone to sleep on them. They've woken everybody up. But boy, if Miami, if you come in slow, if you start slow against this USF team, they will make you pay. It's a scorched earth in Florida. They've won in Tampa. Mm-hmm. They've won in Gainesville. Are they going to take the lower part of the state too?
The question is USF the king of the state of Florida?
As of right now, I would say yes.
They
have one of the most impressive resumes in the country.
Oh,
not in G5, in the country.
I said it earlier this week. If USF finds a way to win this weekend, they should be a top 5 team. And I don't think that's even questionable. And also, the AP poll sucks. I just want to put that out there. I don't want to dig into everything, but the AP poll sucks, and their writers need to take it more seriously.
Absolutely. Can I go into it?
Let's keep this short because I know everybody and their brothers going in on it this week.
Let's move on. Everybody's going on it. Okay. I've already said what I needed to say online. Just know, I'm going to reiterate what you said. Take it seriously. Okay. There's people who would die, not literally, but people who would sacrifice a lot to be able to have a seat at that table. And people just treat it like it's nothing. Like
there would be people that would spend hours upon hours to get their poll correct in their mind. And then we have people that we're not even sure if they even want or even look at the box scores for every game.
No, we understand you're busy, but take it seriously.
Yeah. I've said it numerous times that beat writers doing AP polls is almost impossible because they have to cover games all day. But that's all I'll say about that.
Right. And if the game ends at 1:00 in the morning, it's tough. But you know what you should do as a responsible reporter? Hey, this isn't for me.
Yeah. Pass it off. All right. Oklahoma handles Michigan. Do you buy more stock in Oklahoma or are you selling more stock in Michigan?
So I don't think I could buy any more stock in Oklahoma coming into the year. I still have them going 10-2. This game just made me more confident in that. So I'm holding on to my stock. I don't have to buy anymore. I think I lead the country in shares of Sooner stock. Mm-hmm. However,
your stock price is going up. Like Larry Ellison, you're gonna it'll sell that for good money here soon.
That's right. But my Wolverine of Wall Street tells me sell. And I was not very high on Michigan, but buddy, they're I don't think they're going to be a very good team. And I don't want to get too caught up in it. It's been 2 weeks. And I also don't want to take away from Oklahoma to bash Michigan because I think Oklahoma is a really good team. So, yes, did Michigan play a really good Oklahoma team and get handled? Absolutely. I also think Michigan is not a complete team right now. I think Bryce Underwood will be great. I think that offense will be good. I think that defense is good. But the problem is where I say the will be's, that's what's going to cost them in the big time games this year.
Yeah, this Michigan offense, to me, lacks creativity for a generational quarterback that you have. Michigan is going to be and has been a ground and pound, grinded out with the run game. And with Sharon Moore being there, he's an offensive line coach. He is going to continue to rely on that offensive line to have that style of gameplay. Michigan ran 32 times for 146 yards, but those stats don't tell the whole story. They had one carry for 75 yards and a touchdown. Justice Haynes broke a 75-yarder in the second half. If you take that away, they have 31 carries for, what's this number? About 75 yards. 31 carries for 75 yards. That's not good. You're averaging under 3 yards a carry. Granted, Oklahoma only averaged 3.5 yards a carry, but they have John Mateer who can sling that rock. He threw for 270 yards. Bryce Underwood is 9-24 for 142 yards. I don't think they put Bryce Underwood in a good position to have success. I think there were a couple forced attempts downfield. I think that there were a couple times where they completely gave it away. There was a play where they ran a screen pass, and after seeing some people reply, they gave that play away so easily because they had their fullback lined up out wide. And when you put your fullback lined up out wide, everybody and their brother knows that you're throwing it that way because the only reason he's out there is to block. He's not going out for a pass.
I know it's cool, and a lot of people like to see the offensive lineman, the fullback, whoever out there. Guys, there's a reason those people play really close to the ball. They need to be in a phone booth. Putting a guy like an offensive lineman or a fullback out in space and have to block a defensive back is very, very difficult. It's difficult for the wide receivers who are their equivalent in terms of nimbleness and quickness and agility. So now you're going to put a guy who weighs almost 200 pounds more than them, and you say, hey, they get exponentially more yards. Let's give them 15 yards of space, probably less than that, 10 yards of space. Go block them. Whereas usually you have a 5-yard, not even a 3-yard radius in which you're trying to block. And by radius, I mean there's the line of scrimmage and then whoop, a little 3-yard radius right behind it, inside, outside, back. So what are we doing? I know it looks cool. It looks cool in film if it works out, but it's dumb. In my opinion, it's dumb. And you put a fullback out there, you're setting that person up for failure, and you're setting up the person who's going to get the ball to get creamed, which is what happened.
Yeah. And I really think this Michigan offense lacks creativity. It'll be interesting the next 2 weeks. Sharon Moore is suspended the next 2 weeks. This week's not a big deal. They play Central Michigan. 2 weeks from now, they play
the best
Nebraska.
interim coach of all time. They have the best interim coach of all time, Jake.
He has to wear sleeves, though.
No, he doesn't.
Sharon Moore said that Biff Poggi is going to wear sleeves. He said that in a press conference this week.
Not my king. Not my king.
So he's not the best. He's not the best. Because if he was, he would be going out there with a cutoff. But I want to see him do a cutoff in December.
Yep. I want to see him do a cutoff. Why should? Not my Biff. You know a fun fact about Biff Poggi is? You know, he's like a multi-millionaire outside of football. Like he's a hedge fund guy who made so much money.
He quit his, rich job to go be a high school coach in Maryland and then got picked up by Jim Harbaugh.
The dude knows what he's doing. That's insane.
And then he made millions more to be a football coach.
If he was a football guy, though, he would tell Sharon Moore with a massive dip in his mouth, hey, I ain't wearing no sleeves. But since he didn't, I don't know if he's a football guy, Jake.
Maybe he will. Maybe that conversation hasn't happened yet. Who knows? Got to give Oklahoma their flowers, though. John Mateer played great. I mean, 21 of 34, 270 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, runs for another 74 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, Mateer's got to be sitting towards the top of the Heisman list. I know they didn't play anybody really the first week. You get Michigan, who right now it's like you're not really sure. But the way he plays and the style he plays, he is going to have himself in that Heisman discussion at 10-2.
Well, they were a top 20 team when they played.
Yeah.
So people thought they knew about Michigan.
Everybody thinks they know about Michigan. There's someone who still has Florida above USF. Doesn't mean they know
Jake,
ball.
You said we were going to talk about that. Don't get me fired up.
So I think, Oklahoma could go 10-2. They have a very tough schedule. I don't think Oklahoma can go undefeated with their schedule. They still have Auburn, who is now ranked. We'll see if they actually deserve to be ranked or not. But they beat Baylor, who's a pretty good team. Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, and Missouri. There is 2 unranked teams on their schedule. One of them is this weekend on the road at Temple, which we'll talk about later. The other one is Kent State. Other than that, every other team is ranked on their schedule remaining. This is by far one of the toughest schedules in college football. And we'll probably see a couple of these teams fall out by the end of the year. I don't know, Missouri's ranked 25. Missouri looked pretty good against Kansas. Alabama's 19. Alabama might fall out of the top 25 with their next loss because they haven't looked great. Tennessee plays Georgia this week. Let's see what the results look like. Ole Miss is at 17. Do we really know a lot about Ole Miss? But there's a very, very tough schedule here coming up. A 10-2 Oklahoma and Mateer playing lights out. What I'm waiting for, though, is it feels like there's going to be a blow-up game from Mateer. Just how he plays. There feels like there's going to be a blow-up game where he has 3 turnovers. How is he going to respond? If he finds a way to win that game, boy, send him to New York.
If that happens, it happens against Texas. That just has a Texas feel to it. But Jake,
that game's usually a little chaotic.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this team, 10-2 is very realistic. What has Auburn done to impress you?
They beat Baylor, and Auburn, the way
they couldn't throw the ball against Baylor.
No, that is a concern. That is a major concern because Jackson Arnold couldn't throw the ball. He was running for his life, and they cannot send him out there running 20 times a game. South Carolina, I'm not sure what the offense is going to have. Lenore Sellers, and if you just have Nick Harbor run straight and just see if how many 40-yard dashes he can do in a game, maybe you win a couple games that way. I don't know. Ole Miss, still kind of learning about them. Tennessee, we'll learn more about them this weekend.
Is
Alabama,
Kentucky Ole Miss's kryptonite?
Yeah, I think so, because that line kept moving in favor of Kentucky too.
I thought Kentucky was about to do it again, and I was laughing.
The funniest thing is that they kicked a field goal like at the very end of the game.
That was so awesome.
They covered the spread that way.
Off the timeout, Lane Kiffin calls timeout, and then then Mark Stoops sends out the field goal unit because he's like, "Oh yeah, let me go cover this real quick."
Mark Stoops called up John Mateer and wanted to know what he had on the game.
Moneyline Mateer, baby. I like that. That was funny.
Yeah. So I think 10-2 is certainly reasonable. There's definitely a difficult schedule, but I think Oklahoma, I want to see more out of the rushing attack there. Jaden Ott, we really haven't got a chance to see. He has been battling an injury. He ended up only having 4 carries for 9 yards. I think a healthy Jaden Ott adds a different complexity to this offense. I would love to see when that happens. This week, though, this line's been moving in favor of Temple. It's still only at 21. We'll talk about this here, but do not sleep on the Owls this weekend. I'm just going to say that now.
I will.
All right, final one here. Will, floor is yours. Let's talk about Clemson here and the struggles.
Okay, I have a couple things to say. Should I start with the negative? I think I'm gonna start with the negative. Jake, the first half could not have been any worse. Everything that could have gone wrong literally went wrong, and that's including a rain delay. And everybody was like, "Oh, the rain delay bailed them out." Wrong. Obviously, if you say that, you didn't watch the game. The rain delay came after our second drive, and they get the ball back. Didn't change anything. So let me read the drive chart to you, Jake, because what I've been trying to tell everybody is if we cannot establish the run and you can't get those offensive linemen, those big hog mollies, some wins, which part of this is their fault because they couldn't establish line of scrimmage against freaking Troy, you're not going to beat anybody. And I'm trying to find my tweet, so give me 1 second. This is great podcasting. Here it is. All right, first half, Clemson drive chart. Note, Clemson had 10 rushes for 33 yards for 3 points in the first half. 3 plays, 5 yards. 9 plays, 41 yards. We did not have a 3-and-out there. We did fumble on that drive. 4 plays, 15 yards. Went for it on 4th down. 4 plays, 9 yards. Went for it on 4th down. 1 play, one of those we missed a kick. 1 play, pick 6. 7 plays, 57 yards, field goal. So 2 drives out of 6 in the first half were not 3-and-out. Okay. And I'm including going for it on 4th down on the 4th play as a 3-and-out. Then you get in the second half. Jake, they double the amount of rushes. 21 rushes for 105 yards. So not only did they double the amount of rushes, they almost double the amount of output they got or success they got in the running game. Why? You can't just leave it. Just because one play doesn't work doesn't mean you stop doing it. You cannot abandon the running game so quickly. And the biggest change I saw was old Dabo came out there with the Waffle House menu, standing there after halftime. And we went back to that dirt raid concept, which is what Garrett Riley sold us on, instead of the air raid. You know, we've been trying to rely on winning the game through just passing on Cade and then running the supplement. We can't do that. We cannot do that. That's not how our team is built. But second half, 8 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. 1 play, 26 yards, touchdown. I was off of a pick. 6 plays, 16 yards, field goal. 7 plays, 66 yards, touchdown. 7 plays, 23 yards, end of the game. That was a 4-minute drive, 4.5-minute drive. So the only time we had less than 6 plays was a 1-play touchdown in the second half. What's the difference? The difference is running the football. That was the tempo, that was the rhythm, that was the gelling of the offense that I've been waiting to see. Now, the craziest thing I saw, Jake, and I think I sent this to you, the craziest thing I saw is something pretty eerie. And I'm going to share it with y'all here. I did not share it with you because I wanted to share it with you here for the first time. I wanted to see your face.
My jaw going to drop on this one?
It could if you haven't seen it already. You might have seen it already. All right. So in 2016, the last time Clemson played Troy, Clemson won by 6. Okay. That year they won the national championship. This is not me saying Clemson's going to win the national championship.
Like, are you just making a hot take right now that Clemson's about to win the national championship?
But listen here close, folks. Take some notes. Shout out to CFB Kings for identifying this. Dabo also brought it up at his press conference today. Said his notes were exactly the same. 2016, Clemson was a 33.5-point favorite coming into this game. 2025, Clemson was a 31.5-point favorite. Okay, it's 2 points, whatever. 2016, Troy's offense scored 10 points in the first half. 2025, Troy's offense scored 10 points in the first half. Moose, they had 16 in the first half. That was a pick 6. 2016, Clemson had 32 carries for 122 yards. 2025, Clemson had 31 carries for 120 yards. Okay. 2016, Clemson's defense had 3 interceptions, each by a different player, totaling 13 yards. 2025, Clemson's defense had 3 interceptions from 3 different players, totaling 13 yards. 2016, Troy had 95 penalty yards. 2025, Troy had 97 penalty yards.
Why didn't you just watch the 2015 game on Saturday?
2016.
2016 game.
I pretty much did, Jake. I pretty much did. And I remember exactly where I was when this game was happening. I was like, what's going on here? How is this happening? How is this happening? What the heck? What the heck? It gets crazier. Time possession. Troy, 2016, 33 minutes. Clemson, 27. 2025, Troy, 33. Clemson, 27. 2016, Troy's quarterback had 233 yards passing. 2025, Troy's quarterback had 223 yards passing. 2016, Clemson had the touchdown taken off the board after a review in the second quarter. 2025, Clemson had a touchdown taken off the board after a review in the second quarter. 2016, Clemson led 27-17 late in the fourth quarter. 2025, Clemson led 27-16 late in the fourth quarter. And last, this might be the craziest one. No, the interception one. I think it's the craziest.
Dabo coached both teams.
2016. How'd you know that? After winning, Clemson dropped 3 spots in the AP poll because Haley Sawyer. I'm just kidding. In the AP poll.
Jesus Christ.
And one of the teams that jumped them was Florida State, who beat a SEC team by double digits in week 1. 2025, after winning, Clemson dropped 4 spots the next day in the AP poll. One of the teams who jumped them was FSU, who beat a ranked SEC team by double digits in week 1. Clemson to the national championship. Go ahead and put the tickets in now, folks.
This feels like, you know how people will make the comparison. We're going to go historical.
JFK and Abraham Lincoln.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's JFK was killed by a person with 3 names. So was Abraham Lincoln, Lee Harvey Oswald, John Wilkes Booth. Yeah, that feels like you just recited that off to me, except in football terms.
I did. That's exactly what just happened. And one of us got killed in Ford Theater. The other one got killed in Lincoln Theater.
So what I just heard is that Dabo is going to start the Cuban Missile Crisis.
What you're hearing is Dabo is a time traveler, just like the murderer of Abraham Lincoln.
So Dabo is going to start the Cuban Missile Crisis. That's just what I heard here. So
that is what's going to happen. And then he's going to deliver the Gettysburg Address.
He's going to go deliver the Gettysburg Address, but with a beard.
That's what's going to happen when we beat Georgia Tech. After we beat Georgia Tech, Dabo is going to give the Gettysburg Address after the game. That's going to be the new T-shirt. It's literally going to be 4 score and 75 years in the past. Blah, blah, blah,
I
blah,
beat
blah.
Troy.
That's good. In all seriousness, so the offense has no rhythm. Cade's playing with 0 confidence, but you start to see it come alive in the second half. If they can carry that momentum into next week, it'll be positive. If they can't, we better hope this defense brings their A game.
Yeah, this will be the big game, and we'll talk about it here in a little bit. But going down 16-3 to Troy, not great, but also obviously the end result's the only thing that matters.
16-0. Let's go ahead and say that. It was 16-0.
Yeah, going down 16-0, not great. But the end result's the only thing that matters. I do think, obviously, anybody with a pulse is concerned about Clemson.
Absolutely. I will say, too, like, if I'm grasping at straws, something a little bit more logical. If the team sucked mentally as well as what they're putting out on the field, they lose that game. Clemson had no business winning that game. 0. They were down 16, regardless of who they're playing. 16 points is a lot of points. Last time we were down 16, who were we playing, Jake?
Oh, I don't know. Who were you last time you played down 16?
Oh,
Was it Ohio State?
It was Ohio State in the Fiesta.
I didn't know if you were down 16 to somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
At that point.
16-0, baby. And then Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, that game. I was like, I know Ohio State beat Clemson by more than 16 in 2020.
No, the last time we were down exactly 16 points in the first half was against Ohio State. It always comes back to Ohio State, baby. It always does.
Always comes back. One other thing you wanted to talk about here, the preseason favorites at quarterback, Lagway, Klubnik, Sellers, Manning, Aller. They are off to a little bit of a rough start so far this year.
Yeah, and how much weight do you put in that? Because coming into this year, Jake, if I would have told you DJ Lagway, Cade Klubnik, Lenore Sellers, Arch Manning, and Drew Aller would struggle, you'd slap me, right? And then
I guess the Lenore Sellers one, Arch Manning, I would guess I'm not that surprised. Lagway, I thought would probably be pretty good. Klubnik, I thought would be pretty good. Aller, part of his is he hasn't. I'm honestly curious if Drew Aller is bored because, like, look at who you're
FIU in Nevada, but in the first half against Nevada, they struggled.
They did. They were only up 10-0. Or no, FIU. Yeah. They were only up 10-0 this past weekend.
Yeah. So back-to-back weeks they struggle against G5 opponents. Now they got Villanova, so they get their get right game. You know, they played 2 tough teams. Now they got a cupcake game in Villanova, the Wildcats, FCS.
The only thing I'm concerned about Drew Aller is, like, you really want him to come out and look good this week because then in 2 weeks you have Oregon. This is your last chance to get everything right before you play a top 10 opponent at home. And obviously they have new wide receivers in here. Maybe there's a little bit of chemistry things, but you really want them to click here. You really want to see Drew Aller go out and throw for 250 yards in the first half and then just air it out because Oregon's coming to town.
Yeah.
You really don't want your quarterback to be still struggling with his wide receivers against a top 10 opponent at home.
But Jake, the craziest thing is too, though, I think everyone who talks about this game had one of those people in their Heisman race and had one of those people winning the national championship. Did they not?
Well, I would say, between Texas, Clemson, and Penn State, I don't know many people that had South Carolina and Florida winning the national championship.
No,
but Lagway was a trendy Heisman pick.
Yeah, so was Sellers.
Yeah. So I wasn't as high on Sellers just because of the lack of weapons out there, but I see why people. I mean, he's an absolutely gifted quarterback.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of time for all these guys to improve and play.
Oh, yeah.
This is week 2. I keep reminding people, 2 weeks doesn't give you anything. Like someone was posting Clemson's statistical rankings throughout for the year. As if they sucked, and like the defense was ranked 56 in scoring defense. Jake, the defense has only given up. Well, if you want to be realistic, they didn't give up a pick 6. So 10 plus 17 is 27. 27 divided by 2 is about 14.5 or 13.5 points. So they're giving up 13.5 points as a defense. Okay, if that's 56 in the country, I'll take it.
Yeah, I saw somebody post Ohio State's points allowed per game is sitting at 3.5, and I was like, yeah. Because they got a shutout, and it was a 14-7 game against Texas. 3.5 points a game over 2 games doesn't mean a lot here, guys.
Right. Now, you should give yourself credit, or they should give themselves credit for how they shut down Texas.
Yes.
Absolutely should.
Yes.
And like, just in the same breath, I want to give Clemson's defense credit for shutting down LSU and only giving up 16 when the offense had 0 pulse in the first half against Troy. Again, regardless of opponent, it is tough to shut out anybody, especially when you stay on the field. So only giving up 10 points as a defense in the first half against Troy I'll live with it.
Yeah. Let's start talking about this weekend's games. We highlighted 3 of our games, and obviously we'll have our Walk-On Weekly 10 here. We still have our hot takes. I'm going to hit my hot take again because, USF not only was leading, they won. I count. Technically, that counts. They were leading in the fourth quarter.
What was my hot take?
I got to go back and look at yours. While you look that up, though.
Mine was – I never put it in. I think mine was Kansas is up at 14 in the fourth quarter.
I think that was, and they were
Oh,
not up
no,
14 in the fourth.
it was either them or Oklahoma.
Neither one was up 14 in the fourth quarter.
I think Kansas might have been.
Kansas lost by like double digits.
Right, but they were up in the fourth quarter. I think they were up at least 10 in the fourth quarter.
That is a brutal way to lose.
I'm
All
looking
right,
it up.
let's talk about our first game here. So Georgia and Tennessee. This is a game that a lot of people are going to have their eyes on. 3:30 on ABC. Keys to the game. You want Georgia or do you want Tennessee?
I think Georgia wins this game. I think Tennessee covers. It's a 3.5 point game, I think.
What do you think the keys are for Georgia?
Sorry. Thank you. So the keys are for Georgia is to play good defense. So be opportunistic. Make Joey Aguilar making mistakes in his first real big-time game for Tennessee. Yeah, you could argue Syracuse might have been a big-time game, but now looking at Syracuse hindsight, maybe it wasn't. I want to see him succeed, or I want to see how Georgia can put pressure on him and confuse him. Get the running game going. You've got to get that offensive line blocking better. You look at all these big-time programs, Georgia, Penn State, Notre Dame, Clemson, all their offensive linemen all their offensive lines are struggling early on. Georgia's got to get those offensive linemen confident and get them some victories early against this Tennessee team that also has a very, very stout front seven. So if they can get some success against probably one of the best front sevens in the country, for all you don't know what a front seven is, that's your defensive line plus your linebackers. Traditionally, you have 4 defensive linemen and 3 linebackers. That's why you say front seven. Anyway, so that's my second key. Third key is don't make Gunnar Stockton go win the game. Don't make him do it. If they have to air it out, if they throw the ball more than 25 times, Jake, I think they lose.
You think they have to basically run the ball 35 times, 35, 40 times?
Not even. I don't trust Gunnar Stockton to win the game with his arm.
I agree.
Even though Jermod McCoy is out for Tennessee, who's their star corner, I don't trust his arm. I don't think he's a very accurate passer. I don't think he's very polished as a passer. I just think he's a playmaker. He's not Stetson Bennett, who can roll out there, who could actually, throw a pretty accurate ball. Now, he plays like Stetson Bennett in terms of his athleticism and his grit. So, if they can not make Gunnar Stockton go out there and have to win it with his arm, I think they have a good shot. I've got the game 20-17.
I think this is going to be close. So one of my keys here for Tennessee is they've got to find a way to run the ball. Georgia so far, granted, they have played Austin Peay and Marshall, has not allowed basically any rushing yards. 78 yards on 31 carries against Marshall and 45 yards on 28 carries against Austin Peay. Tennessee has rushed for over 500 yards already in 2 games. So they have to get the running game going. That is going to be an absolute key for them to open the game up. They're not going to be able to, very similar to Georgia, they can't ask Joey Aguilar to go out there and throw the ball 40 times. I think they can ask him to throw 25 times for sure. But there has to be a threat of running the ball. And that includes even Joey Aguilar running the ball. But you've got to find a way to move this ball on the ground. You've got to find a way to make 2nd, 3rd, and shorts. Because if you're in 2nd and 8, 3rd and 7, and Georgia's defense can pin their ears back and come after Joey Aguilar, I'm not liking Tennessee's chances. So they got to find a way to move the ball on the ground. Similarly for that, I think they've got to win the field position battle. I think this is going to be a chess match. You talked about Gunnar Stockton, struggling to throw the ball. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of scoring here. I think it's going to be a chess match. How can you even get 2 or 3 first downs, even if you punt the ball, get a stop, get the ball basically back where you were, and keep going and find a way to get points that way? I think this is going to be more of a chess match.
I will say, too, don't sleep on Austin Peay. The fly is open. Let's go Peay. Okay? They can play some football.
I've never heard that before.
That's what they say at Austin Peay. The fly is open. Let's go Peay.
I'm sure they do. I'm absolutely sure that they do. Third one that I have here is you got to force turnovers. I don't know how, but if you can get Gunnar Stockton to throw 1 or 2 interceptions, I think you're going to win the game.
Yeah, I think we're aligned there. I think if like I said, if they're putting the game on Gunnar Stockton's arm, Tennessee gets the opportunity to make that key of the game, make him turn the ball over.
Oh, yeah. I think if you can get in Gunnar Stockton's head, even if you get pressure on him and you're just getting him to make errant throws, even if it's not intercepted, get in his head, get pressure on him early. Georgia's going to try to run the ball. Georgia's probably going to have a little bit of success running the ball. I do like Tennessee's defense, but it's hard to bet against Georgia running the ball historically when they've got just guys. I did see one of their offensive linemen, Ernest Green, is on the injury report for this week. That'll be interesting to follow this week if any of their offensive linemen do not play. But I think Tennessee, main key for them is they've got to win the field position battle. They've got to run the ball. That's the whole thing. Don't ask Joey Aguilar to go out there and throw for 350 yards because last year, I mean, he made the most mistakes. He's got to hold on to that ball. He's got to make sure that he keeps it in their arms. Second game we got here, USF and Miami. Would you like USF's keys or Miami's keys?
You get USF, buddy.
Oh,
you've earned
I get USF. I get USF. All right. Tell me about Miami's keys to the game here.
Okay. The first one is this is coach's speak. This is cliche, but it's got to be said. Do not overlook the Bulls. Okay? Don't be like Haley Sawyer and overlook the Bulls. This game happened. They are good. They are legitimate. They didn't. It wasn't a fluke that they beat Florida, right? They're a good football team. Should Florida have beaten them? Absolutely. But was it a fluke? No. USF was in that game the entire time. There was no like crazy play that ended it. USF kept themselves in that game by playing good, hard-nosed football. Shout out to Tennessee's own Alex Golish, who's really turning this USF team into a legitimate contender. So Miami, do not overlook them. Don't sleep on them. Don't be too confident. They are going to make plays, and if you let them stick around, they're going to punch you in the mouth, and it's not going to be pretty. Number two, you've got to establish the run. I feel like this is going to be the key trend in all three of these games, and that sounds cliche too. But if you're not running the ball, you're not taking any. If you're not able to run the ball, you're putting a lot of pressure on Carson Beck. Yes, Carson Beck is a lot better of a quarterback than a lot of people thought he was, including myself. But he's still not great. I mean, he only threw for 220 yards against Notre Dame, and then didn't throw that much against Bethune-Cookman, but he probably only played one quarter in that game. But that's Bethune-Cookman. He should throw for a lot of yards in that game. So he hasn't proven anything exponential to me yet. Everybody wants to point out, oh boy, with that touchdown pass he threw against Notre Dame. Was that a great touchdown pass or was that a great catch, Jake? You tell me. CJ Davidson. Or no.
I mean, it was a great catch. That's intercepted last year at Georgia.
Right, because it's tipped. Because 99 times out of 100, that ball is not caught by the receiver.
Or the receiver's not even going up for it.
Correct, and it's pick city. It's cookies. Give me them cookies. So Carson Beck, don't make Carson Beck have to force the ball down the field and push it. And then number three, you better be ready for Bowen or Bryce Brown. Excuse me.
Byron Brown.
Thank you. Okay. Byron Brown. Byram with an M, not Byron. You better be ready for him. And you better tackle him. And he's going to run the ball. He's going to throw the ball. He's the team's leading rusher. He's the team's leading passer, obviously, as the quarterback. The dude is a playmaker. Make him make turnovers. Pop him in the mouth. Make him sit around outside in the pocket. Do not let him rush upfield. You guys, you probably have to stick away from running man-to-man. Because if this dude gets a lane, now what Miami has going for him, you have Ruben Bain on your team. That's all that matters. If you have Ruben Bain on your team, you've got a good shot of controlling the line of scrimmage. So control the line of scrimmage on offense and defense, and don't make Carson Beck throw the ball too much or try to be a playmaker. All he's got to do is go out there, establish the play action, dink and dunk. Hit his man Tony. All you got to do is that.
Yeah, for USF here, so there's two that really come to mind for me. So Byron Brown just needs to be a playmaker. We've seen it. Him against Boise, I mean, he was doing everything. I mean, he was looking for contact at certain points in that game. Like he was lowering his shoulder. There was a touchdown run. He didn't even need to make contact with a defender, and he basically stepped 1 yard to the right just so he could drop his shoulder into the defensive back. You need Byron Brown to be a playmaker, but you also need him to be healthy. So he needs to take calculated risks because he cannot take those kind of hits all season long and still expect to stay upright. But you're not going to win this game if Byron Brown is not running the ball and getting loose with his legs. You don't need a ton of designed runs, but you need him to scramble and cause chaos on the defense. Second thing is they have to be better on third down. Do you have any idea how bad USF is on third down right now?
Offensively?
Yes.
No.
If I told you they were 11 of 30 on third down right now, would you believe me?
I would not. I would not, especially with how they beat the two teams they beat. But you think about it, too, they only had to score 18 points to beat Florida.
They only had to score 18 points. They were 5 of 14 against Boise, and they were 6 of 16 against Florida. So 11 of 30, you're at about 30%. You want to be definitely closer to that 50%. They have to extend drives. They cannot be giving Miami the ball back and just hoping that their defense can hold. Now, they have a good defense, so it's not the worst thing, but you have to get first downs. You have to be converting and keeping Miami's offense off the field. Third thing there is how can you rattle Carson Beck somehow? We see the receivers are definitely better, but how can you rattle him? What kind of blitzes can you draw up? How can you force fourth down punts? I don't even think you have to quite get to turnovers. I think you need a handful of 3 and outs, or they get 1 first down, but it's, they got the 10 yards. It can't be they got a 25-yard play and then they punt, because now you're starting inside your own 10-yard line. They have to find a way to make Miami's drive short and their drives longer. That might sound a little cliche, but it is. They can't be 30% on third downs and expecting to beat Miami, because we think Miami's probably the best of the 3 teams they played so far.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So those are my keys to the game. I'm very curious on this game. 4:30 on the CW. If you haven't noticed, they play on the CW. Final game here. We're going to give our keys to the game. Clemson versus Georgia Tech. I'll go first, so I'll take Clemson. Just kidding. I'll take Georgia Tech. Haynes King. How could you get yourself more injured because somehow you get superpowers when you take more hits? It's like every time he takes a hit, he suddenly gets stronger. I don't know how that works, but somehow Haynes King just gets better as the game goes on. So for Georgia Tech, how do you put yourself in a position where you can rely on Haynes King late in the game to make key throws, run the ball? He didn't play last week. A lot of it was considered to be precautionary because he took an absolute beating against Colorado. My guess is he's going to play this week and then somehow not play next week. They play Temple next week, so Temple's going to take that W next week. Shout out Temple Talk. The next thing, Georgia Tech is not going to be a team that airs it out. In their first game, Haynes King was only 13-20, 143 yards and an interception, and they started that game absolutely terribly. 3 turnovers in the first quarter. But Haynes King had 156 yards on the ground, 45-yard long. Jamal Haynes had 65 yards rushing. They're going to run the ball. I think back to when Georgia Tech played Florida State last year, and they just ate clock all day long. 8 clock. If you're going to win this game, giving Clemson fewer possessions is definitely a good way to do it, because I think Georgia Tech can win a 21-17 game. If Clemson only gets 3 possessions in each half, I think it's going to be very tough for Clemson to win this game. My final key here, though, is when you look at Clemson, force them to throw. We've seen that Klubnik has struggled when they try to rely on the passing game. How do you get them into passing situations that you can either drop a bunch of guys back and let your 4 go, or bring pressure and knock Klubnik off his game? The problem is if you bring pressure, you've got to get there, because if Klubnik gets loose, he's going to get a first down. Those are my keys.
Your Brent keys?
Yeah, my Brent keys.
My keys, Clemson has got to run the ball for 4 yards to carry. So if they can't get in second and manageable, third and short situations, it's going to be a long day. Part of that is taking the edge off of Cade Klubnik. He's been playing with no confidence this year, it seems. He's off his game. He's off timing. He's trying to force things. He's really just not playing football. On the new Clemson podcast, Inside the Valley, with Dustin Black and myself, Dustin compares Cade Klubnik to an artist. He's not a cerebral guy. He's an artist. He needs to go out there and be a gunslinger and a playmaker. Don't put him in a box. Let the man just go out there and freaking play football. That's when he plays his best. Part of doing that is being able to run the football. I know we've said that 1,000 times. I'm going to say it 1,000 more times. The run has got to be established for Clemson to be a legitimate offense. Number 2, we're going to go to the other side. Clemson's got to hold Georgia Tech to 3 yards per carry. Georgia Tech will not stop running the football, no matter what the situation is. They will stick to the run until the world ends. The best way to beat Georgia Tech is get them in those second and long, second and 7, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. Anything 3rd and 5 and above, you've got a good chance to get them off the field. Okay? You've got to hold them to no more than 3 yards per carry, because if you're allowing them to get 4 yards a pop, they're just going to lean on your big, heavy boys. They're going to wear you out, because that offensive line is legit. Jamal Haynes is legit. Haynes King is legit. And it'll be a long day. So you got to play good gap technique football and really just make sure you can't arm tackle. These guys have got to hit the ground when you tackle them. So 3 yards per carry. Be better on third down, offensively and defensively. Defensively, they're 37.5% on third down, on giving away third downs. But the biggest problem with this, the biggest red flag is, I want to say it's been 6 plays. So out of the 24 third down attempts, 6 that have been converted, I want to say it's 6, have been 7 yards or more, Jake. So 25% of the third downs we give up are 7 yards or more. That is inexcusable as a defense. Inexcusable. Last week, Troy ran the ball on 3rd and 7 and converted it.
Yeah, it's not good.
So you cannot let that happen. So be better on third down, run the freaking football, and stop the run. Very simple, right? It seems very simple. I want to add a little extra key, right? A little spare key that you hide under the little gnome. Let Cade Klubnik throw the ball. Let him cook. Don't make him think. Let him get out there and get a rhythm established. Get that rhythm established. Once he gets that rhythm established, he starts to get confident. He starts to make plays. Then let him take some shots. Let him start taking some shots. Because that Georgia Tech defensive backfield is not very good, in my opinion. They're not very good, and they're a little banged up. They ain't covering Bryant Wesco down deep. If we can establish that run and allow K to do what he does best, sling that ball down deep, Bryant Wesco could eat. Jake, I can't wait for that game. It's going to prove a lot about who Clemson is. I think we know who Georgia Tech is. Nobody knows who Clemson is. No identity. Zero.
We might know. We might know.
We'll find out. It'll be confirmed.
We have some ideas, and this weekend we'll have either a ton more clarity, or we're going to be really confused if somehow they come out and play with their hair on fire.
I don't know. I think regardless of what happens, we're going to have clarity. If they come out there and play like they've been playing, all right, they just suck. If they come out there and play with their hair on fire, all right, they just need to wake up.
Let's do our Gridiron Spice Spiciest Take of the weekend. Just like the boldest college football hot takes, Gridiron Spice Company brings bold flavor to every meal. From the signature varsity blend to the fiery hot route and Cajun-inspired Go Long, Geaux, Cajun. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
These seasonings are built for game day. They beat you this year. Head to gridironspiceco.com. Use code WALK-ON for 10% off your order. Gridiron Spice, where football meets flavor. Last week, I nailed it, saying that USF would be leading Florida in the fourth quarter. And bang, we hit one there. I
like that. That was beautiful.
I wonder if we should – I'm going to reach out to them. I got an idea for sponsorship here. If we hit one, we should be giving away a spice to a follower.
I like that. I like that. Specifically the fan. If we can find a USF fan that wants some spices to spice up their game day, hit us up because we'd love to send you some Gridiron Spices.
I gotta see if maybe we can make that happen. All right, this week my spicy take. This is a scorching take, but I don't think it's that scorching of a take. I'm going to say Temple is tied or leads Oklahoma at halftime. And my reasoning behind that is Oklahoma is traveling to Temple, playing at noon Eastern time zone. Oklahoma's coming off of a big game. I think this is prime letdown spot. And to Temple, this is like, we're talking Super Bowl level game. So you get Oklahoma at your home stadium this year. I think Temple comes out on fire. Evan Simon has been lighting the skies up at wide receiver. The defense has been playing good. Grant, they played UMass and they played Howard. That needs to be taken into consideration. Obviously, not two great teams. But I think they're going to be fired up and be ready to go. I think Temple takes don't be surprised if Temple scores the first possession. I think Temple is tied or leads Oklahoma at halftime. I do think Oklahoma wins this game. But I think this is prime hangover spot for Oklahoma. They think that they're in a good spot. They get a little bit of a breather for all these other games down the road. Watch out for the Owls.
Jake, if you get this one, I'm spelling your name with a G. You're going to be Jake with a G. G5 Jake. So Gake. We're going to legally change that because obviously you would be the G5 whisperer if that's the case.
Coming for Justin.
You need some more helmets. All right, I'm going to be a homer here. I've got to put my homer hat on. The sky is falling in the upstate of South Carolina. Everything's burning. But I'm not giving up hope. And I'm willing to sacrifice everything that I feel and love this weekend to say Clemson's going to win by double digits. And I think that's a spicy take with how bad we've looked in the first 2 weeks. However, if this team puts it all together, and if this is the week they do it, I don't think that's crazy. I do think this might be hot route crazy, hot route hot. But Jake, I got to believe in it. And if I don't believe in it, who will?
I mean, you're going to be the one that's going to do it. So let's jump in and talk about our picks here. Let's start with a lower game here. So we've got Pitt at West Virginia, backyard brawl. Pitt is 6.5-point favorite. Which one do you like here?
West Virginia just lost their star running back. I say star, but they're running back for the year. I'm forgetting his name.
Jaheim White.
Yes, thank you, Jaheim White. I like Pitt. I like the hype around Pitt. I like Pitt's defense. I like Eli Holstein. Give me Pitt to cover that one.
Yeah, I think losing White is a pretty big loss for West Virginia. I am going to take Pitt as well. I think West Virginia, obviously in the rebuild, they lost to OU last week. I think Pitt's just the better team. I do think that's going to be an electric crowd. I think Rich Rod can get West Virginia going, though, with a win this week. Like, you want to talk about hyping up the fan base. You win the backyard brawl in your first game when the last game you played, you lost. There's a way to get everybody going here. But I'm going to take Pitt to cover the 6.5. Second game here, we got Vanderbilt traveling to South Carolina. South Carolina is a 5.5-point favorite here. Who do you like?
I was really leaning towards Vanderbilt, at least covering in this game, until the offensive lineman, I'm forgetting his name, was interviewed after practice, and they asked him about star edge rusher Dylan Stewart, and he goes, he's whatever. I truly think Vanderbilt is addicted to giving people bulletin board material. They are addicted to it. So give me South Carolina to cover this one. It's at Willie B. What time is that game, Jake?
I believe that's a night game.
If it's a 7 o'clock game, that's a lock. That's the lock of the century.
This game is at 7:45 on SEC Network.
That's a lock. Give me South Carolina.
I'm taking Vandy here. They've looked good so far. Their beatdown of Virginia Tech last week. I know Virginia Tech wasn't good, but these teams both played Virginia Tech. Vandy went to Lane Stadium and put a whooping on them. South Carolina played at a neutral site. And that game was probably closer, way longer than it should have been for how Kyron Jones played. I'm going to take Vanderbilt here. I think that Vandy might be on to something. I think Vandy could be competitive, and I will not be shocked in the least if they pull out the win. I think they cover. I think this is a close game. I'm just also kind of still unsure about the South Carolina offense of what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Next game here, Arkansas at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is an 8.5-point favorite here. Arkansas is 2-0 for now. Who do you like?
Well, after watching Ole Miss play Kentucky, I started to doubt. But then I remembered that
Kryptonite.
Kentucky is just Ole Miss's kryptonite. So I was like, look, just give me Ole Miss to cover that one. Minus 8.5. I don't think old Sam Pittman has too much time left over in that seat in Arkansas. So this might be one of the straws that break the camel's back.
Yeah. I mean, Arkansas has 2 games so far, Alabama, A&M, and Arkansas State. Granted, you scored 50 in both of them. Great. Congrats. Here's your first big game. I think Ole Miss rolls here. I don't think this game is particularly close. I wouldn't be shocked if Ole Miss wins this game by 17 points. All right, third game here. Let's go to Florida and LSU. Florida, this would have been a really great game if Florida had won, but shout out UCF. LSU is an 8.5-point favorite at home in Death Valley against the Gators. Who do you like?
If Florida has anything to them, they come out just ready to punch LSU in the mouth. LSU looked a little vulnerable against Louisiana Tech. It's starting to look like maybe LSU wasn't that good based on how Clemson's playing. I don't agree with that. I don't believe that. I think LSU is able to handle business. Give me LSU minus 8.5.
Florida won this game last year 27-16, and I think that it's going to be a similar margin, but the other way this time. I think LSU has the offense. I think this loss to USF is not going to be a wake-up call. If anything, I think they're going to sorrow in their misery here. I think Garrett Nussmeier and the boys are going to be ready to go. They know what kind of season they have in front of them. I don't think they're going to let Florida upset them. Give me LSU by the 8.5. Duke plays at Tulane in the Darian Mensah Bowl. Tulane is a 1.5 favorite over Duke. Do you like Darian Mensah's current team or Darian Mensah's former team?
I like Darian Mensah. Man, I was really high on
Do you like Tulane or do you like Darian Mensah?
Tulane, I love that. I like Duke's defense until they just got freaking bum rushed by Illinois. I think they bounced back this week. They're going to Tulane. That makes a big difference. But Darian Mensah's used to playing there, right? He might get a little bit of extra hate this week. But the dollar bills will help clean up those tears. I think Duke is able to win this one in a very good game.
I will say, I think the Illinois stat line is just a little bit inflated. I mean, it kind of went downhill in a hurry for them, but there were a couple like costly penalties that saved some drives. It was not just Illinois just running through them. I think that score for that defense looks a little worse. Plus, Duke didn't punt in the second half. They went fumble, touchdown, interception, fumble, downs. So they didn't actually punt in the second half. They only punt once, funny enough. They punt one time and just turn the ball over a ton. So I think part of that is a little deceiving. I think Duke bounces back here. I think Darian Mensah gets it together. I think there will be a lot of emotions in this game, though, because obviously playing his former team. But I will take Duke to win this game. The wide receivers have actually been a little bit better than I thought they were going to be. I'm pleasantly surprised by them. Oklahoma plays Temple. Oklahoma, this line is actually down to 21.5.
Uh-oh.
So, do you like Temple or do you like Oklahoma?
Jake, I'm sorry. Temple talk. I believe in this Oklahoma team. Obviously, I think they're going to win. Let's just go and get out of the way. I think John Mateer comes out and makes a statement, traveling up to Philly. Jaden Ott's going to get some play. They've got 3 running backs who are legitimate. So I think
Ott hasn't played much. Ott only had like 4 carries last week.
So if he's going to get right and start getting that rhythm, get back into game shape, I think this would be the game to do it. And I think he runs all over that Owl defense. They're going to be in. Ooh, that boy fast.
I already alluded to this earlier, but I'm going to take Temple to cover here. I think that this is a game where Temple jumps out early. They, score on their first or second drive, kind of catches Oklahoma off guard here. Oklahoma comes out a little bit of a hangover from Michigan, knowing that they got Auburn next week. I think that this is a prime hangover spot. I think Oklahoma wins this game, but I'm going to take Temple to cover here, and this game is going to be closer than people were expecting.
So, Jake, are you starting Temple's defense on squad blitz?
So they are in the weekly, and I thought about using Temple. Also, I've got them on my team. I think I actually dropped them last week. I dropped them this week because I needed somebody else, and I really not in favor of playing Temple's defense this week. All right, Texas A&M and Notre Dame. We actually didn't talk about this game. We probably should have talked about this game, but we didn't.
Yeah.
Reason I didn't want to talk about this game, Notre Dame's 0-1. No offense to Notre Dame, they only played one game, and A&M is 2-0, having played not much as well. But I think that this is going to be a very, very good game. Do you like Notre Dame by 6.5, or do you think A&M covers here?
I think, that changes things, because I thought the line was 8.5.
I've got it sitting here. I've got at least written here in front of me at 6.5.
Okay. Give me Texas A&M to cover. That's what I sent for the graphic. That's what I got here. Give me Texas A&M. I like Marcel Reed. I like Casey Concepcion. I like the ability for this Texas A&M team to exploit Notre Dame in the crossing routes in the intermediate passing game. Let Marcel Reed cook in the running game. They trade home and homes. So Texas A&M gave up their home field last year. Notre Dame's going to give up their home field this year. Give me Texas A&M.
I'm going to take Notre Dame to win this game. I think Notre Dame looked good enough against Miami to come back and win this game here. Obviously, a tough start to the schedule when you get Miami and Texas A&M as your first two games. They got a bye week. I think they got a chance to fix it. CJ Carr, obviously, I think there were some, a little bit of emotions, but he started to put it together there a little bit. I want to see them give the ball to Jeremiah Love more. He did not get much of a chance to shine. I think that Notre Dame goes back to their running game, knows what works for them, gets Jeremiah Love the ball a lot, and I think that they come out here on top, winning by at least a touchdown.
Yeah.
USF and Miami. Miami is a 17.5-point favorite. I feel like we just did this exact thing last week, and we saw USF win. Is USF going to cover 17.5 points, or is Miami going to win by more than 3 scores?
Miami's going to win, I think, 30-21. USF covers, Miami wins.
I'm there with you. I think USF covers this game. I think 17.5 is way too many for Byron Brown. I think USF's defense is going to do enough to keep their team in the game. But ultimately, I think Miami has just way too much talent on the offensive side of the ball to allow USF to win. Clemson and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is a 3.5-point underdog. Your hot take was Clemson wins by 2 scores.
Yeah, I said that in my hot takes, but in my article, I have Clemson winning by 3, which now would have Clemson covering. But when I did it, the line was at -3.5.
Yeah, when we put our lines together, they've all been adjusting all week, so we've got 3.5. I apologize to anybody who has it at 2.5. You should have took it earlier.
If the line was at 3.5, I'm taking Georgia Tech to cover.
I'm going to take Georgia Tech to win. I'm sorry, Will. I think
Georgia
Tech wins. I think Georgia Tech wins. I think that right now, Georgia Tech's physicality is just going to be too much, and they're going to be able to milk the clock. I know Clemson has a good defense, but I think Georgia Tech is going to be able to do milk enough time from the clock, and I just do not believe in Cade Klubnik getting in a rhythm right now.
Whatever, Jake.
Final game here, Georgia at Tennessee. Georgia is a 3.5-point favorite here. You got the Dogs, you got the Vols.
I've got the Dogs winning. I've got the Vols covering. I think I had the game being at 20-17. So Tennessee covers.
I'm taking Tennessee to straight up win this game because
I like that.
The Gunnar Stockton, show right now is not where it needs to be. I think Joey Aguilar does enough. I think the running game doesn't get 250 yards, but I think it does enough for them to move the ball consistently, giving Joey Aguilar a chance to either move with his feet, find guys in space. I think Tennessee wins this game, and I think on Monday we're talking about, is Georgia need to make a quarterback change, because Gunnar Stockton just doesn't look good enough, in my opinion. All right, that is it for our Walk-On Weekly 10. We'll have the graphic out here tomorrow, if anybody, or I guess today, and when everybody's listening to this. Make sure to go follow us on social media, Walk-On Redshirts on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you get your social media content at. Make sure to go follow Will at Walk-On Moose. Make sure to go join Squad Blitz, weekly contests every week. I think they've got 3 out this week. Usually got one main slate, a group of 5, and then kind of a mixture of just what else we can throw together. So go join Squad Blitz. Make sure to click Walk-On Redshirts as a referral. Go check out Gridiron Spice Co. Use promo code Walk-On for 10% off your order. It's a great time. We've got barbecue season, grilling season for games. Perfect and take to your tailgates. With that being said, make sure to rate the podcast. We'll get any sort of stickers out to anybody who rates the podcast. Just send me a screenshot and I'll make sure I get one out to you. If I miss it, I promise I'm not actively trying to miss, just keep DMing me or sending me tweets, or send Will a tweet or a DM, and we'll make sure we get it over to you. With that being said, can't wait here for week 3. It should be a great weekend of college football.
Can't wait.